But we do want to talk about um, Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN making social media headlines. And it really seems like it's really like caught fire this afternoon, really, with Woj's comments about sports betting and how sports betting, I think, kind of after what we saw with Kyrie Irving this weekend in game one on Sunday with the Nets and the Celtics in Boston, and how sports betting and how angry bettors are kind of adding to the vitriol that NBA players, and I think he kind of turned it into like a societal comment. We have the full quote here. I'll read it momentarily here, and how it's adding to, athletes maybe getting more like abuse, verbal abuse, than they had been getting in the past. So here's the quote from Woj saying this, and I believe, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, saying this on the NBA Today, to whatever that show is that ESPN runs, that Woj is on during the day. And I quote, "As gambling becomes more prevalent in the arena, people are gambling on almost everything that goes on in the game, and they're drinking." It's a 100% in the Venn diagram. If you're gambling, you're drinking. Players, organizations, and you talk to them, they already feel it in the arena. When people are losing money in real time and they're pointing to a player on the court and they're saying, "Hey, I bet you to score more points in the second quarter than somebody else and I lost," you're adding an element to that we're not talking as much about, but is a real factor in the league. And I think you're going to see more instances of fans being even more vitriolic towards players in the league. And it's an issue they're going to have to deal with, but it comes with the influx of gambling money that everyone is going to profit off of, both players and the league, but it's going to impact the relationship between fans and players in real time. Ken Barkley, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this. And I think we can get it in before the segment's over. And if we can't, who cares? We'll do more on it. So just to try to frame this correctly, I think this is like a really, really hypocritical, foolish take. And I think it's like
By
really
one of the
dangerous to
world's
think like
by
this.
one of the world's foremost dorks, also, and Adrian Wojnarowski.
I don't
Just give
even
me
want
the.
to, yeah,
I,
like
I'll
it's,
say it. I'll say it though. Give me the news and shut up. Like, leave your opinions to yourself. Tell me if a guy's playing in the game. Tell me how long a player's out for. I don't need these sorts of comments from Woj. Get off your high horse, buddy.
I think when you make a quote like, there's going to be more vitriol from the fans. It comes with the influx of gambling money that everyone is going to profit off of, both players and the league. He is very shrewd and very careful to exclude from that he is probably the person who has profited the most off of sports betting of anyone in the entire arena up to this point.
In
His contract
basketball.
negotiation was very, very public. And as part of that contract negotiation with both Adam Schefter and him with ESPN, it was made public that the reason why they make such extravagant sums of money, like Adrian Wojnarowski is paid more than quarterbacks in some NFL teams. And the reason for that is that there was an incredible amount of leverage that he could apply because he was heavily sought after by sports books to be a consultant. So, like, if we're going to talk about who makes the most money off of this and like what a problem it is, then for him to exclude himself entirely from this conversation is about the most hypocritical thing imaginable. And it makes me not want to take anything else he says at face value. I will anyway, because it's worth tearing apart. But like, this is really, it's like very important to understand the hypocrisy of someone who is making tens of millions of dollars because of sports betting, turning around and saying like, that's a problem, man. Look at all the people getting money and like, oh man, but they have to get that money. And like the fans are going to get angrier. And like, this is a real problem we have to deal with.
Give the money
Oh,
back, Woj.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, by the way, hey, my agent, can I get like another 50 million? Because I got these sports books like trying to pay me. Just like understand that, like, I do think that the person making the statement in this case is important, because I think it's really, really difficult to not view him as a clown based on what we know about his negotiations with sports books, and then to turn around and make a comment like this. Like, it's embarrassing, honestly. And it's just so transparent, and it's hypocrisy. Like, it's unbelievable. So anyway, like, the person making the statement, it's pretty brutal. And for everyone to be like, yeah, me too, be like, yeah, but this is the guy making tens of millions off sports books. Like, this is the guy doing that you're agreeing with. Because I think there is, to just turn to like the content, I think there's like a good faith conversation that you can have about the perils of sports betting, perils of sports betting in arenas, perils of sports betting and how it in fact impacts fan behavior. I think you can do all those things. If you are a league and you're the thing that you are the most concerned about, that is like paramount in your values and your core values, is the protection of your players from fan violence, vitriol, whatever you want to call it. If that's like one of your core values now that you're going to care a lot about because the players are going to start voicing a lot of concerns, then you ban alcohol from the arenas.
And that's the number one thing, and that is so obvious. Yep, that would be the first thing that you should do. But then they stand to lose that money also.
Right. So okay, well, Yeah, like, is betting a problem? Yeah. So what do you think the overlap is between angry fan and drunk fan? What do you think the overlap is between that? And to be like, oh, like, get off your high horse. They're not going to ban drinking at the arena. Like, what is this? And it's like, no, my point is just they're not going to ban drinking at the arena because it makes an incredible amount of money for a lot of people. Just like they're not going to ban sports betting at the arena. And the idea, just to frame this Woj quote again, as gambling becomes prevalent in the arena, people are gambling on almost everything that goes on in the game, and they're drinking, but we're not going to focus on the drinking. We're not going to
Like I
focus on the
said,
thing
but
that
also it's the
literally
assumption
impacts
that
behavior.
that if
Right.
you're betting, you're getting wasted. Like
The
like
the
everyone
idea
everyone that's betting is hammered, right? And that's which is
it's just
asinine, of course.
how about focusing on like the actual problem, like the alcohol is like that's producing impairment, that's affecting judgment and behavior, and then the betting is like the basically the match that's being lit once the room's already filled with gasoline, right? Like that's just the match that's being lit that happens to direct anger at a certain place. Okay, like if you really cared about this, which
But
they don't
fans
and
do the
he
same thing. You don't
doesn't.
even need to bet. You
Right.
could be. I mean, I used to go to Ken. I'm
Correct.
embarrassed by some of
Right.
this. Like when I in my insane fandom days, like I would go to like I remember going to Philadelphia for Giants Eagles game in 2000. I should have gotten my ass kicked
Of course.
multiple
Right.
times going to games by getting wasted and heckling not just players that played in the game, but heckling fans as well. Like
Right.
yeah, and I had no money on the game. I just was
Right.
rooting for my team. You don't need to bet in
So
order to
it's
act like an ass.
if you want to have a good faith conversation about this issue, man, you better be anti-alcohol sales at the games because that's your number one fan vitriol creator. So if you're really not against, like, if you're really in this issue and you're like, yeah, we need to protect the players, like, fan behavior has gotten out of control. Alcohol's got to be number one on your list. If it's not, I'm not taking you seriously. Other than that, this is all just some foolish clout seeking issue.